1995. Ancient history for some, only yesterday for others. It was a year of big changes. Pixar released the world's first ever fully computer-generated movie. O.J. Simpson had a starring role in the unaired pilot for Judge Judy. And Alanis Morissette was arrested for bombing Oklahoma City. Meanwhile, over in Detroit... Meanwhile, over in Bowling Green, Chevrolet was preparing to shock the world with the 1995 Corvette, which looked the same as every Corvette since '83. Nevertheless, the reveal stirred up some panic for a little-known company called Microsoft.
Bro, did you see what those fiberglass horsens are doing?
Dude, it's 3 a.m.
They're making a 1995 Corvette.
Holy power glide!
And they told me that you could only bench like 30 pounds.
That's barely factual.
What should we do?
Give me 3 days.
And then Windows 95 happened. Now, 30 years later, the rivalry between Microsoft and Chevrolet is still going as strong as ever. Let's have a look at the models that started the war. I'm going to compare the two, talk about their relative advantages, look at some of their quirks and features, and ultimately be the final authority on which one is better, so you don't have to have your own opinion. The C4 Corvette has a simple, straight-to-the-point American sports car design. It has a very long hood that makes you nervous in parking lots, sloping fastback, large rear wheels, and a big ol' hankering for bacon and freedom.
There was a bee flying in there on the camera. He wanted to be involved. So he was like this.
It's kind of a dumbed down version of the C3, for anyone who feels threatened by a car that's cooler than its driver. Which makes sense. You want the girl to go home with you, not make out with your car. With the curves sanded down as such, I think it really needs a spoiler to look complete. Luckily, the aftermarket has you covered. You also might not be so impressed with the C4 stock wheels. Well, that's no problem. Just butcher some wheels from a C5. This metallic green geriatric joined the family in the dawn of 2020, serving faithfully as my daily driver. Although I did just buy a new BRZ, so they might have to fight each other for my attention. I give the design of the 1995 Corvette the highest score there is. 8 out of 10. Windows 95's design is also straight to the point. But the point in this case is, hey Karen, I need you to print out the accounts receivable spreadsheet and fax it to Karen in HR. For the personal computer, this is the era where beige was king. You got your beige tower, you got your beige mouse there, you got your beige Trinitron monitor, and for God's sake, you better be wearing your beige underwear right now.
It's a beige alert.
But let me talk about the monitor for a second. A good CRT has an appeal to it that no flat screen is yet to match. When I was setting up this PC, I was initially using a cheap LCD I had laying around. But once I plugged in the Trinitron and saw just the terminal, I was like, The UI is great if you have a fetish for teal. I do really dig the simplicity. Clicking around Windows Explorer is pretty snappy. And not once have I gotten a notification telling me I'm getting an update tonight whether I want it or not. But how about the sound? Only a car that loves to be alive growls like that. We don't need no flat plane cranks here. Tell me you couldn't just slather some steak sauce on that sound and eat it for breakfast.
I always think about that too whenever I'm like...
The sound from inside the cabin is pleasant enough and not too loud to have a conversation.
Yeah, like I have no idea how fast I'm going. It felt like it.
Windows was no slouch in this department either. I think this startup sound really stands the test of time, and it manages to distinguish itself nicely. Unlike V8s, many of which sound similar to each other, every Windows version has its own sound that keeps it firmly rooted in its time. You hear the sound and you're immediately warped back to the 90s. Even judging it by its own merits, it's a really good sound. It evokes the feeling of wonder and mystery. What a magical time. It made us think, wow, we're living in the future, and no man alive can know all the ways this new technology will change the world. This sound has even been preserved by the Library of Congress. Not to detour too far into music theory here, but it starts with what sounds like a B sus4 chord, if your brain is telling you that it resolves to B major. I guess you'd call it like B sus4 add 9 because of that C sharp. And then comes that big inspiring arpeggio. And by adding in an A, we realized they juked us. We never were in B. All along, it was actually just some inversion of G flat minor 7. That's the hopeful wide-eyed part. Anything could happen, and life is full of surprises. Then comes the final chord, which is every note of the E pentatonic scale combined. It changes the vibe. It makes you feel like, whoa, hang on now. What if some of these new realities aren't necessarily for the better? What if my kids meet some unscrupulous gentleman in one of those online chat rooms? Some of what contributes to this odd feeling is no doubt the tuning. The song isn't in concert pitch, so I actually have to hold the pitch bend slightly to even play the notes. We're very attuned to standard tuning where A is 440 Hz. Even if you don't consciously recognize that it's detuned, it just feels otherworldly. And by the way, I've actually been playing a recreation. The original recording is low quality with a lot of hiss. Oh, and the other sounds are kind of cool too. So maybe we can find a middle ground on the aesthetics. There we go. Perfect.
Feel those G's.
The 95 C4 has an LT1 V8 rated at 300 horsepower and 340 pound-feet of torque.
Into the back of my seat.
For those of you not familiar with Freedom units, I think that's like 12,000 kilowatts and 2.5 giganewton meters, respectively. In my case, the numbers should be a little higher since I have headers and a catback exhaust. I haven't had it tuned yet to take full advantage of these mods because at some point I want to have a 410 diff put in and save a tune for that. But that's another video for another day. you know me, since we're so close and all. I care more about torque than horsepower, and the small block Chevy does not disappoint in that regard. Well, unless you just got out of a C7. Side note, I highly recommend driving a C7 at least once in your life. It doesn't even need to be a Z06. The 6.2 liter is very nice.
What, really?
But back to the C4. It makes decent power from the get-go, but I'd say it really kicks in around 2000 RPM, judging from the butt dyno. It's fast enough to make a police chief go, and that's good enough for me. It has a 6-speed manual, with 5th and 6th gears both being overdrive. 6th gear is particularly tall, with a ratio of 0.49 to 1. If you get the automatic, you're stuck with just 4 gears. This was back in the good old days, before the manual lovers are the ones who always got shafted. The handling on the Corvette is good, of course. This is 2 years before they went with the transaxle, and like 25 years before they went mid-engine. But the weight distribution is still not far from 50-50, especially with the lighter headers on the front. But numbers are just numbers. If you really want to have fun driving, you just need a rear-wheel drive car with positive traction and enough power to spin those rear wheels.
Loads of my, Cameron!
Oh no! I have to turn around. Guess I'd better do a 5-point turn.
Meep, meow, meep, meow, meow.
Okay, Mom, now it's your turn. No matter what anybody says, your C4 Corvette is a fun car. You are not wrong for enjoying it. So when those Yaris driving keyboard warriors try to urinate in your Cheerios, you just keep on smiling. Because they don't understand how much fun we're having. It's not even a ZR1, ... Not as fast as an LS, ... Are you listening to me? Stop being happy! How about Team Microsoft? Before I built this PC, I anticipated the excruciating sluggishness of my childhood Windows 95 machine, which probably had a 486. This one has a Pentium 200, 32 megabytes of RAM, and a Matrix G450 video card. This isn't an entirely unreasonable build to have had Windows 95 installed on it, but it would have been closer to 1997. Which is fair, since the Corvette also has some not exactly period correct upgrades. I was actually really impressed with how snappy everything was when I got it going. Navigating around Windows Explorer is almost instant, and I think even just right-clicking to see the context menu is faster than my Windows 10 gaming PC. It just goes to show the power of simplicity. Windows has gotten so thirsty in its old age. Windows 11 needs 4 gigabytes of RAM for just the OS. Transistors have gotten smaller and clock speeds have gotten higher, but that is still a lot of ones and zeros that need to be pushed around. For a two-seater, the Corvette is a surprisingly good daily driver. If you remove the extra target top from the rear, there's a ton of space in the back. It was designed to hold a standard golf course, or a few overnight bags. And fortunately, it can be accessed by lifting the rear glass, unlike the C3. The heating and the AC work fine, which is something I consider a non-negotiable necessity for a car. And it's not a loud or jarring ride on the highway. The stock Bose sound system still sounds great. I've even gotten the gas mileage up to the 30s in 6th gear while going slightly downhill. The way I usually drive around town, it's more like 15. Can't have everything, I guess. In order to combat this last point, Chevy implemented computer-aided gear selection. It's a lockout that tries to make you shift from first all the way to fourth in normal driving. I find that it doesn't usually engage for me, and when it does, you can kinda just wang-jangle it over into second anyway. Or, if it's a problem, there are mods you can get to disable it entirely. If you're really that worried about saving fuel, just unplug half your plug wire so you gain the fuel economy benefits of a 4-cylinder. I would say just stay home and never drive, but then we get into a divide by zero situation, and I don't think the fabric of space-time can handle that right now. Actually, I think it's a pretty ingenious solution on Chevy's part. It's a low-tech way to cheat the system and get the EPA to spare them the gas guzzler's axe. But it's also not that intrusive, and it's relatively easy to disable. Everybody wins. Overall, I feel confident saying the 95 Corvette is a perfectly viable daily driver for many people. Just be aware that it doesn't hold your hand like modern cars. You have to actually watch for pedestrians. Now how about the Windows machine? Well, this is where things get a bit dicey for Team Gates. There is quite a bit you can do in 2025 with the Windows 95 machine, thanks to some clever people backporting various applications, and even this mad lad who got .NET working on it. But could you use this as your main PC? Well, it has only very rudimentary USB support. Most modern software won't work on it. You have to track down exact drivers for every piece of software you can install. You'd better be okay with noise, because this old motherboard runs the fans at full speed at all times. One thing I hear a lot that I'm actually not concerned about is, Windows 95 isn't secure! You're going to get the virus! First of all, I don't do banking or even check my emails on this PC. It doesn't have access to anything else on my home network except a public-facing Python server I'm running to transfer files faster. There's not much risk here, but more importantly, do you really think anybody out there is writing malware for Windows 95? That's like being afraid to go outside of your house in the suburbs because you might get trampled by an ostrich. Because you might get trampled by an ostrich.
They're gonna love that!
However, one of the major drawbacks is a lack of support for modern security protocols like TLS 1.2 and HTTPS. That cuts you off from the lion's share of the modern internet. I installed the newest version of Internet Explorer that's supported for the OS and tried to find something worth doing online. Believe it or not, the Google search engine does work. It seems Google is committed to keeping their search engine working for as many people as possible. Now, once you get your search results, you'll quickly start running into a bunch of roadblocks. There are a few things you can do, however. For instance, here's an HTTP version of Reddit someone made, and it even supports images. There's also still some old relic websites that have never been updated. One fun thing to do is check out original versions of websites on the Internet Archive. But if you really want full modern internet access, the best bet right now would be to spin up a server on another computer that can fetch whatever site you want and serve it up to your Windows 95 PC over HTTP. Does that really make the Windows 95 machine practical? Maybe. In the same way your Corvette is practical as long as it's on a trailer being pulled by a new F-250. The only thing that matters here is, obviously, can it play Doom? It doesn't matter how good a car or operating system is if you don't get to keep it. So now we're going to do a segment I call, Does the wife tolerate it, or does she think it sucks?
This guy's gonna be all slow, isn't he? Yeah.
She's driven it many times since this recording, so I grilled her for her opinion. Compared to her slow, dumb, stupid,
Dumb, stinking, fat, smelly, stupid.
compared to her Nissan, there are only a couple of things she prefers about the Corvette. She likes the torque because it's fun, and she can fit into tight spots in traffic. And she likes the way it looks. I mean, how could you not love that face? That's a face even a mother couldn't hate.
Your neck must be deformed or something. You had it pointing so far out. Do you drive like this?
That's gonna be the thumbnail, the picture of you doing your Stephen Hawking impression. Can I run this guy?
Yeah, bitches. Oh, I thought that was just like 2 lanes, but that's the hard shoulder.
How do you like the car?
It's actually a lot nicer to drive than I thought it would be. I thought it would be like a lot, like, you know, no power steering, and this gear would be like really hard to shift, more like the Fiero.
Yeah.
It's pretty user friendly.
So if you had to summarize it into one word.
Gosh.
Oh, there goes a Z car.
It's a beautiful thing. So good.
You gotta get a look at you being proud of your name choice.
Alright. I don't want to go too far though, because I know I might find a nation that wants to kill me. I haven't even built a house yet. Oh yeah, look. Oh. I guess let's go to the old internet. On my computer. I remember that. Ah, look at this beautiful gray toolbar. Snake! Maybe we can download a Snake game. Oh, do I have to... Oh, my computer won't. When your monitor won't. Yeah. That one. Aww. He's a good smile stick. Look, he's got a crown! Do you see it? Look at that! Oh. Aww. This is boring. O'Neill's Ghost Stories. Coons Library. That sounds cool. Oh, look at that! No, that is a 90s website.
It's
The
still.
ghost name is George.
How do you like that music?
Oh, let's read this. The ghost name is George. This has got to be scary. Too long to read. Equals false. I don't want Nintendo to equal false. Oh, right. I can't actually remember how to play solitaire, but I sure am gonna play it. Oh, yeah.
Draw me a naked woman.
Does she? Oh, longest journey fell down. Ain't so long anymore.
That was its longest journey. From desk to floor.
She's gonna be looking at us with some smoky eyes. She's gonna be like, who, me? That's one beautiful woman.
Yeah.
Alright, watch this.
I would tap that.
Untitled How about Untitled Bimbo? Gateway timeout. Get limited time on the internet in the 90s.
That's not what that means.
You have to put a quarter in for that time.
Due to it is stunning art design. Would you rather daily drive this PC or the Corvette?
I guess the Corvette. Am I allowed to have a backup car? Like when that one inevitably breaks down.
Sure.
Okay, then yeah, the Corvette.
Which one do you think has more historical significance?
I'd say this.
The Windows?
Yeah, I think more people probably interacted with this than the Corvette.
If you caught me in bed with one of them, which would you rather it be?
Well, we could get a virus on the computer, so I guess I'm gonna say the Corvette.
And for number 4, you get to make up your own question.
It's like a sort of a good name.
You get to answer it too.
Yes, it is. That's fun.
The Corvette has this button here we'll call the nanny button. It features on by default, and you have to turn it off every time you start the car. If you leave it on, anytime you try to get the back end to kick out, the all-seeing nanny will cut the throttle and make you be a good little boy. But hit the button, and this light comes on, and that means all the dumbass proofing is off the table. This C4 has the optional selective ride control from the ZR1. The effectiveness of this varies greatly, depending on your susceptibility to the placebo effect. If you have the key fob on you, the car automatically locks or unlocks itself as you approach or dive heroically away from it. This must have been pretty cool in 1995, and it also probably worked better back then. This isn't really a feature, but I always wanted to know, what happens if you get up to 100 miles an hour and throw a Corvette into reverse? This digital gauge has not aged especially well. Not only does it just kinda look gross, but it only works about 10% of the time. I'm not really sure what this button does. If you got all the material that came with the Windows 95, you had a lot of cool little pictures and videos. Look, there's even something from Bill Plimpton in here. And it comes with a little bumper car game. Space Cadet Pinball, it is not. One thing that surprised me is CD audio. Even though the sound card is plugged into the motherboard, you need this cable to connect the CD drive directly to the sound card to play CD audio. Every other sound works fine without it, even video game cutscenes.
You have lived so long.
Oh, so good of you to remind me of my age, child.
But without it, you can't listen to music CDs. And over here we have this quirky little feature called the recycling bin, which is where this OS should have been put in the first place. Nah, I'm just kidding, Bill. You guys did all right. Which one wins in a drag race? Which one takes longer to get under the hood? Which one's better at backing up? Well, Windows Explorer didn't actually have a back button in 1995, but the Corvette does have a reverse gear.
6 gears.
Which one has better traction? I don't exactly know how to measure traction, but I will say ball mouses kind of suck. Windows 95 has a turbo button. While the Corvette is naturally aspirated. The Corvette sometimes yells at me. The Windows machine has thus far yet to disgrace me in that way. Which one has more media options? Well, the Corvette can play CDs and cassette tapes. The Windows 95 machine can also play CDs, and it plays floppy disks. That's 2-2, so I guess this one's a tie. Oh, wait a minute. I almost forgot about the USB 1.0 port. Oh boy, I forgot to write a conclusion. What do you think, Chester Worthington St. Clair's Myersworth?
This car is absolutely the most absolute of absolutely pretty good cars. It is, for better or worse, a proper sports car. The chassis is really very good. It just feels planted. Now, of course, any car that can't go 200 kilometers on a single liter of petrol, I cannot in good conscience give more than an F double sideways cricket bat. Sorry, Yanks. Windows 98? More like Windows 90 what, mate? Windows 95 is keeping me alive. Literally. My pacemaker runs on Windows 95. Literally. Absolutely literally.
Is it over?
Landing. Storage full.
Good job.
Automatically switched to SD card storage.
Good job, little pop-pop.